What if everything you thought you knew about love was too simple? Why do some people fall deeply in love with someone of the same sex despite growing up in environments that told them they shouldn't? Is it a choice, a result of trauma, or something more beautifully complex? This video isn't about opinions. It's about what psychology, biology, and lived experience actually say. And the truth might surprise you. Same-sex attraction has existed in every culture, every era, every corner of the world. And yet, people still ask, why does it happen? Behind that question is often another. Is it normal? We're diving into the psychological science behind people who love or are drawn to those of the same gender. We'll explore the biological roots, emotional patterns, and powerful social forces that shape how we experience love. But more than that, we'll ask, what does attraction, any kind, tell us about what it means to be human? Because when we stop trying to explain away love, we start to understand it. Whether you're someone who's questioning, someone who loves someone who's questioning, or just someone who wants to understand better, you're in the right place. This is not about changing minds, it's about opening them. Let's explore the psychology of same-sex love, not through judgment, but through genuine curiosity and scientific insight. Sexual orientation isn't just about who you sleep with, it's about who you're drawn to, emotionally, romantically, and physically. Psychologists define sexual orientation as a pattern of enduring emotional, romantic, and/or sexual attraction to men, women, both, neither, or more. And while those categories might sound tidy, real human experience is much more fluid. Terms like gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, asexual, and queer aren't just labels, they're identity markers that help people understand themselves and communicate with others. They describe consistent inner experiences, not random choices or phases. One of the biggest myths about same-sex attraction is that it's caused by a single event, like childhood trauma or a strong influence during adolescence. But research consistently shows that sexual orientation emerges naturally, often early in life, and isn't something people choose or are convinced into. Another misconception, that people are either 100% straight or 100% gay. In reality, many people exist somewhere along a spectrum. The famous Kinsey scale, introduced in the 1940s, highlighted that human sexuality is not binary, it's a range, and that range can shift over time. But here's where it gets more interesting. Sexual orientation isn't just about who we're attracted to, it's also about identity. Some people might have same-sex attractions, but never identify as gay or queer. Others might identify with a label even if their experiences don't always fit it perfectly. That's because orientation is deeply personal. It's about how someone sees themselves and how they move through the world. Understanding sexual orientation means respecting its complexity. It's not just a checklist of behaviors, it's a rich, internal experience shaped by biology, psychology, and social context. And for many, naming that experience is a huge step towards self-acceptance. In this video, we're not here to define people, we're here to unpack the frameworks science gives us so we can better understand each other. If same-sex attraction isn't a choice, what's behind it? One of the most consistent findings in psychology and neuroscience is that biology plays a powerful, though not exclusive, role in shaping sexual orientation, and it starts with genetics. Twin studies have shown that identical twins are more likely to share the same sexual orientation than fraternal twins, suggesting a genetic component. But it's not a single gay gene. Instead, it's likely a complex interaction of multiple genes, each contributing a small effect. In 2019, a massive genome-wide study involving nearly 500,000 people confirmed this, There's no one gene that determines orientation, but genetics clearly influence it. Then there's the role of prenatal hormone exposure. Some researchers believe that variations in hormone levels in the womb, especially testosterone, can affect how brain regions related to sexual behavior and attraction develop. For example, in some studies, women exposed to higher levels of prenatal androgens showed higher rates of same-sex attraction later in life. There's also the fraternal birth order effect, a curious finding where men with older biological brothers are statistically more likely to be gay. The hypothesis? With each male fetus, a mother's immune system may build up a response that slightly alters brain development in subsequent sons. It's not destiny, but the pattern has appeared across multiple studies. On the neurological level, brain imaging studies have found subtle differences in structural and functional regions tied to emotion, bonding, and arousal. For instance, certain areas of gay men's brains may resemble those of heterosexual women, and vice versa for lesbians. These aren't defects, they're natural variations in brain wiring. And while no single biological factor can explain same-sex attraction, taken together, these studies point to one conclusion. Being attracted to the same sex isn't something imposed from outside. It's rooted in who someone is. What's also important is what the science doesn't say. Biology doesn't make someone better or worse. It doesn't create a hierarchy of attraction. It simply helps explain why diversity in love exists across all of humanity, and always has. From an evolutionary perspective, some scientists have theorized that same-sex behavior might play social roles in strengthening group bonds, reducing conflict, or supporting kin selection through non-reproductive caregiving. These are still debated, but they add richness to the conversation. Ultimately, the takeaway is this: sexual orientation isn't caused by just one thing, but biology clearly lays the groundwork, and understanding that can reduce shame, challenge stigma, and help us see same-sex love not as a deviation, but part of the natural diversity of human experience. Biology may lay the foundation, but emotions are where attraction becomes real. Our emotional world, how we bond, who we feel safe with, and who we're drawn to, plays a powerful role in shaping our attractions. This is true for everyone, regardless of orientation, but for those who experience same-sex attraction, it often comes with added layers of complexity, shaped by both internal feelings and external realities. Take attachment theory, one of psychology's most respected frameworks. It tells us that the way we bond with caregivers early in life often influences how we form relationships later in life. While attachment style doesn't determine sexual orientation, it helps explain how people experience closeness, trust, and intimacy, key ingredients in attraction. For someone who feels emotionally safe and validated by the same gender, those feelings can deepen into romantic or sexual connection. It's not a cause, it's a context. We also have to consider the emotional safety of expression. In environments where same-sex attraction is shamed or silenced, people often suppress those feelings, not because they don't exist, but because expressing them doesn't feel safe. That suppression can complicate emotional development, leading some to question or delay understanding their orientation. Others might channel their feelings into intense friendships, only realizing years later that those emotions were deeper than just platonic. Importantly, same-sex attraction isn't about a missing father or overbearing mother, myths that have been thoroughly debunked. It's not a symptom, it's not the result of poor parenting or trauma. In fact, many LGBTQ+ people come from loving, supportive homes, and many who faced hardship still identify as straight. Human attraction is far more intricate than any single experience or explanation. The truth is, we're drawn to people who make us feel seen, understood, accepted. That emotional connection is a core part of attraction, and for many, that happens with someone of the same gender. Not because something went wrong, but because something felt profoundly right. There's also the power of mirroring, the way we connect to those who reflect parts of ourselves. For people in communities where same sex relationships aren't visible, seeing someone who shares their feelings or identity can be deeply affirming. That recognition can unlock feelings that were always there, just waiting for permission to be understood. Some psychological theories suggest that for certain individuals, same sex attraction develops gradually as emotional intimacy builds, especially in relationships where they feel deeply safe. That doesn't make it less valid. In fact, it shows just how tied attraction is to the emotional ecosystem we live in. Ultimately, psychology doesn't pathologize same sex love. In fact, the American Psychological Association, World Health Organization, and countless global institutions affirm that same sex attraction is a normal and healthy expression of human emotion and identity. Understanding the emotional side of attraction helps us shift the question from why does this happen to what does this mean for someone's experience of love, self-worth, and connection? Because in the end, what we all seek is the same: to love and be loved in a way that feels honest, safe, and whole. Sexual orientation may be internal, but how we express it is deeply shaped by the world around us. Culture and society don't create same sex attraction, but they absolutely influence how people experience it. Whether someone feels free, ashamed, celebrated, or invisible often depends on their environment, not their biology. In societies where being gay, lesbian, or queer is accepted, people are more likely to come out earlier, live openly, and report higher levels of self esteem and mental well being. They're not more likely to be LGBTQ, they're just more likely to feel safe showing it. Contrast that with environments where same sex love is criminalized, shamed, or erased. In those places, people often hide who they are, sometimes even from themselves. That doesn't mean the attraction isn't there, it just means it's been forced underground. Suppression doesn't erase orientation, it just wraps it in fear and silence. Representation also plays a huge role. When people see authentic, diverse portrayals of LGBTQ lives in media, families, education, and religion, it sends a powerful message. You're not alone. That kind of visibility can be life-changing. It gives people the language, models, and confidence to recognize their own feelings and identities. But when culture sends the opposite message, through stereotypes, erasure, or hostility, it can delay that recognition for years. Some people spend decades believing they're broken or confused simply because no one ever showed them another way to be. Religion, too, can be both a source of deep acceptance or painful rejection. Some faith communities embrace LGBTQ people fully, while others interpret doctrine in ways that exclude or condemn. For many, reconciling faith and identity is one of the most difficult emotional journeys of their lives. It's not about belief versus sexuality, it's about belonging and self-worth. The pressure to conform to normal can lead people to enter relationships that don't reflect who they truly are. Social scripts around masculinity, femininity, marriage, and family can push people to suppress their authentic selves to fit a mold. Over time, this can lead to emotional disconnect, internalized shame, and even mental health struggles. That's why cultural progress matters. It doesn't change who people are, it just allows more people to live honestly. When society makes room for different expressions of love, it opens the door for people to find peace within themselves. Because, in the end, being accepted by others often begins with feeling permitted to accept yourself. Coming out isn't a single moment. It's a process, and for many, a deeply personal and emotional one. For some, coming out is a joyful declaration. For others, it's terrifying. The act of telling someone else about your same-sex attraction means weighing safety, trust, and emotional risk. But it also means affirming a truth you can no longer hide. Psychologically, this moment is powerful. Coming out is often the first step towards identity integration, the process of aligning your internal sense of self with how you show up in the world. When someone can live openly without hiding who they are, it relieves the mental burden of secrecy. That relief has real consequences. Studies consistently show that LGBTQ plus people who are out and supported experience lower rates of anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation. But this journey isn't linear. People come out at different stages, in different ways, and for different reasons. Some tell close friends, but not family. Others live openly in some parts of their life, but stay private at work or in faith communities. All of these decisions are valid. There's no right way to come out, only what feels safest and most authentic. It's also important to note that coming out isn't just about revealing your orientation, it's about claiming your identity, saying, "This is who I am," even when the world might not fully accept it. That act of self-ownership is a milestone in personal development and psychological resilience. The flip side is internalized stigma. Growing up in a society that marginalizes same-sex love can leave emotional scars. Some people internalize the shame or fear they've absorbed from others, which can delay their journey towards self-acceptance. But healing is possible, and often begins with seeing others live openly, hearing stories that reflect your own, and finding community. Coming out is not the end of a journey. It's a beginning of living more honestly, loving more fully, and connecting more deeply with others and with yourself. Let's clear the air, because when it comes to same-sex attraction, myths still linger, and they do real harm. Myth 1. It's just a phase. False. For most people, same-sex attraction is stable and enduring, not a temporary feeling or a passing stage. Myth 2. It's caused by trauma or bad parenting. There is no scientific evidence to support this. People of all backgrounds, loving homes, difficult homes, every type, can be LGBTQ+. Orientation is not a product of trauma. Myth 3. You can fix it or change it. Conversion therapy doesn't work. It's been discredited by every major psychological and medical association in the world. Worse, it causes long-term psychological harm. Myth 4. Being gay is unnatural. Same-sex behavior has been documented in over 1,500 animal species. It's not rare, it's nature, and it's been part of human history in every culture and era. The truth is simple. Same-sex attraction isn't broken, dangerous, or deviant. It's a natural variation of human love. When we replace myths with facts, we create space for compassion, dignity, and understanding, and that changes everything. Same-sex attraction isn't a mystery to be solved. It's a reality to be understood with science, empathy, and openness. From biology to emotion, identity to society, what we've seen is clear. Love, in all its forms, is human. And when we replace fear with knowledge, myths with truth, and shame with understanding, we don't just change opinions, we change lives. If this video gave you clarity, hope, or simply a new perspective, consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps us share these stories and facts with even more people. Because love is love, and learning about it makes us all better.